that is unable to be with us today. This is our annual grant writing webinar, something that we like to do every year at the beginning of the year for a potential grant applicants. We struggle with a name for this, and we come up with Community Foundation 101, because basically what we'll be doing this morning is we will be introducing the foundation, its different grant programs, and how you as the nonprofit community can reach out to us for some funding for projects and programs that you will be doing within the community. I'd like to introduce Ann Worth, the chair of our distributions committee. Ann will be helping me with our presentation today. She is definitely my right hand when it comes to the community arts and the community enhancement grants. We work very closely on a lot of things. So Ann, good morning.
Good morning, and thank you very much, Sue. We're very excited to see everybody here today.
Sure. I would also like to introduce a couple other members of our team. We have Jenna Wykes, who is our marketing director. She is instrumental in telling your stories when you do receive grants through the Community Foundation. We have Tim Parker, our CEO. Tim, you want to say good morning?
Good morning and welcome. I look forward to meeting all of you eventually here, and some of you are already familiar Zoom faces. So hope you enjoy the session this morning.
Great. And we also have Carla Lodholz, our Director of Development. Good morning, Carla. She said she was going to mute. So
good morning. I know, I'm not getting it off. Yeah, the mute button. Good morning and welcome. And so good to see everybody and some faces we haven't seen in a while. Thank you, Sue, for allowing me to be a part of this with you.
Sure. So with that, we're going to talk a little bit about what we hope to get through in the next hour to an hour and a half. Oh, I forgot I'm in control here of our slides. Today's objective, we're going to prepare you to submit proposals to the Community Foundation. In order to do that, the first thing we're going to do is talk a little bit about the Community Foundation, the different funds that we have, the different grant opportunities that you have to put proposals into us. We're going to talk about the information that you need to have at your disposal, something that you will want to have in a file within your systems in your office. And then we're going to talk about the elements of a strong proposal that you can submit to the Community Foundation. As we often say, our mission within the Community Foundation is to enhance the quality of life in North Central Wisconsin. That is what we as a staff look to every time we make a grant within the community, the contacts that we make, the donors that we bring into our family here at the Community Foundation. That is what our mission is. Our vision is to be the first choice for philanthropic investment in the future of the area. We connect people, resources, and ideas for optimal community impact. So Tim is keeping us on course with that, and that is the mission that we move forward to. We have a very strong team, administrative team here at the Community Foundation, led by Tim. Pam, our finance director. Most of you do like to hear from Pam. She's the one that will cut a check to you if a grant is awarded to you. You met Carla, our director of donor services. I work with all the grants and scholarships programs. Karen is our office administrator. She helps us with all the administrative details within the office, and Jenna Wykes, our marketing director. We have a very strong board of directors who lead the foundation and keep us on course. I just want to mention here that the distributions committee that Ann and I work with is made up of 10 members, at least 50% of the members of our distributions committee. That committee that reviews applications is made up of at least 50% from the board of directors. We also have on that committee, which is up to 10 people, we have 2 students to represent the community and the youth issues. And we also have 2 additional members from the community at large. So we have a very strong distributions committee that works under the direction of Ann Worth. You know, when I said that we struggle with a name for this particular presentation, oftentimes I think that the presentation name should just be partnerships. And this diagram really shows partnerships that are formed within the Community Foundation. The $79 million in assets that are currently under management with the Community Foundation are formed by the donations that come into the Community Foundation. That's $7.2 million that came in 2020, granted out to nonprofit organizations and charitable causes in the amount of $5.8 million in 2020, all came from those 41 funds administered through the Community Foundation. Partnership, we have a very strong donor base and a very strong nonprofit sector, which we as the Community Foundation can really serve as the conduit to put good projects and programs together for the community. So the different programs that we have within the Community Foundation, which get very confusing out of those 411 funds, we do have community enhancement funds. That is the granting program that most of you are probably most familiar with, community enhancement grants. We'll talk specifics of that later. We also have field of interest funds, designated and agency funds. Field of interest funds, as their name implies, are funds that give grants in a particular field. Our Beyond Pencils and Crayons grant is a field of interest fund. Our community arts grants, those are a field of interest fund. We also have a field of interest funds that are specific for senior enhancements. We also have some that are for specific for Hmong issues. So field of interest, as its name implies. Designated and agency funds, that is something that you would never apply to. Donors have set those up for specific purposes, and we just automatically manage grants that go out of those type of funds. Donor advised funds are a group of donors that we work with that make grants in the community in all sorts of areas. And those donors set up their funds for very different reasons. And we have learned how to work with them and have learned how to meet the needs of the community very creatively by working with donor advised funds, scholarship funds also, as their name implies, are just for educational enhancement for students going on to college in different areas of education. Just by the numbers, kind of an issue here in 2020, our donor advised funds, as you can see from that pie, are the majority of where our grants are awarded. 2.35 million go out into the community through donor advised funds. Fiscal sponsorship, that would be project funds. I know we have a couple people on the line who are thinking about using a fiscal sponsorship to help them with their projects. That's where we make those grants out of. So just kind of by the numbers, as you can see, community enhancement grants were about 5.5 million, 550,000 last year. So, and we'll be granting similar again this year. So just so you have an idea how our grants are going out of the Community Foundation. So just very quickly to talk about the donor advised fund, that is 135 of our funds are donor advised funds. $30 million in assets are in those funds. That's a large part of the Community Foundation's asset base, but it's also a area that is doing a lot of work in the community and doing some really good things. Those funds are set up by individuals, corporations, and one that we will talk about later are previous private foundations. They still continue to serve, to work in the community, much like a private foundation, but they're a fund within the community foundation. They have boards of directors that meet and look at their applications and make their disbursements. The one thing that we can say about a donor advised fund, no grant will ever be awarded from a donor advised fund without the donor's directive. We do not direct those funds, the donors direct them. But we do have some input on helping to make those dollars work in the community. They are a very generous group of people. And I think you have heard the story before that nonprofits will sometimes come to us with projects and programs that have very short timelines. They have a need that has come up very quickly. They don't have the time to wait for an application deadline in a review cycle to work. So they come to us and ask us if we would know of some other source of funding in the community that might help them out. Two examples are the Community Center of Hope, which is in Mosinee, and also the Marathon County Hunger Coalition. Each of them came to me with a request that their vehicles were in need of replacement and in need of replacement very quickly. And in both those cases, 2 to 3 emails out to some donor advised fund holders, those vehicles were purchased for those organizations within weeks rather than waiting months for an application cycle. So those are things that we can do for you, work for you. We do not do your fundraising for you, but we can take your idea, your proposal, make them available to our donor advised fund holders for the possibility of them funding. Not always successful. I've had a couple requests for funding and have put it out to donors that I thought may have an ear for such a project, and they do have the right to say no, and sometimes they do. But I do try to put that out to as many donors as I can to find the funding for you, but it doesn't always work. But it is an avenue to try and to keep in mind if you have a project or program. One that we're working with right now is the Community Partners Campus. They're looking to raise some money very quickly, and we have provided information for our donor advised fund holders on several occasions, and we're hoping that they will be able to help us fund the campus, which needs funding quite quickly, and we'll see how that goes. So donor advised funds are one avenue for funding for you. And we often get questions from potential fund seekers. How do I apply to those donors? There is that avenue through us for a specific project, but if you're looking for operational funding, we do have a list of the donor advised funds in our donor advised or in our annual report. You are welcome to use them as part of your solicitation package through the year, and they can either choose to fund you or not fund you. I think if I had another graph, which I don't, the donor advised funds, if you would look at the funding that is made from those funds, over 50% of it is for operations. So many of our donor advised funds are using their donor advised funds to make their annual appeal donations to organizations like the United Way, their churches, the Performing Arts Foundation, the Leoki Woodson Art Museum, or any of the other organizations, the Boys and Girls Club, things like that in the community. So the donor advised fund is an active organization, are active funds within the foundation. The one that I do like to point out is the Emmerich Properties Fund. They do not use an application process through the community foundation, but It is a trust type donor advised fund that is administered through the Community Foundation. They do make all the decisions of the grants that are made out of their fund, but they are very active with their fund. If you have a project or a program that you would like funding, they are open to taking conversations with you. So that is one that I like to put out there. If you have a project program or even are looking for operational support, the Emmerich Properties Fund, just contact Lynn Geyer. You'll see her name here. You can call them and have a conversation with them. And again, they're the ones that decide whether or not they make a grant or not. So that's one that's out there that I like to put out there. I also like to point out at this time of the year, because this is a number that we're excited about because it continues to grow each year. This number here of $840,000. That's how much the Community Foundation will be investing in the community this year in competitive grants. And when I talk about a competitive grant, what I mean is a grant that you would put an application in. A review committee will read your application, and our board of directors will vote on the recommendations of those committees whether or not to fund those projects and programs in the community. So the biggest one there you see is our community enhancement grants. We'll be awarding over $500,000. I did pull that number down a little bit. It really was 550,000, but we've already taken some of the assets from that and moved it down here to a field of interest to support community arts grants and to support Beyond Pencils and Crayons grants. So we took assets from community enhancement. They're now available through the field of interest funds for pencils and crayons and arts grants. We'll talk a little bit more about how you apply for each of these. The final number here on the bottom is foundation funds. And when I talk about those are the ones where we had private foundations that serve the community. And rather than them continuing to do all the work that they need to do to have a private foundation, they have taken their assets and folded them into the Community Foundation. And we now have 3 funds that were private foundations, or instead of being a private foundation, chose to be a fund of the Community Foundation. They have an application process. They review their applications, and we make grants for them on their behalf. So let's talk about them a little bit. Well, first of all, just backtracking just a second, we're going to research the different funds that funding is available for you. And these are just some of the steps that you need to do in order to be prepared to put in a proposal to the Community Foundation. So you're going to go online, you're going to look at the different funds that we have, you're going to develop the project that you need funding for. You're going to talk to me. That's part of the process. We're going to talk about what the different funding sources are and which ones would be most beneficial for you to spend the time putting in a proposal. You're going to have your file of documents that you're going to update. So we'll get into all those pieces in a minute. Starting with the documents that you will want to have on hand. Most applications that you're going to put in, whether it's through the Community Foundation or any other private foundation, these are just some documents that you should have in a file on your computer. I actually put in a proposal just this last week to the BA and Esther Greenheck Foundation to get funding for the community arts grants. And it's just was really helpful to have a document where I could find all these pieces of information that they would be asking for in that proposal. They're going to ask for your financial statement or your budget. They're going to ask for your mission statement. They're going to ask who your board of directors is. They will want to know what your organizational chart is. They want to know that you are have a non-discrimination policy on hand. These are just some things to have in a file ready to upload if it's asked for, and many times it will be. So keep that file handy, keep it updated. And again, as I had said earlier, you now have a project, you have a program that you want to put in front of the Community Foundation, or maybe even in front of other foundations asking for funding. A really good place to start is with the Community Foundation, a conversation with me. And when we connect, our conversation is going to be about your project, about your program. So be prepared for that conversation. When you get on the line with me, or when you send an email to me, introduce yourself, introduce the organization that you are with, give a short overview of the project or program that you are looking for funding, talk about your timeline, talk about the funds that are needed, and what is the current status. And John and Carrie, I hope you don't mind, I'm going to use you as an example of a current conversation we had with the Lake Dubay Lions Club. They want to do some enhancements to the park at Lake Dubay. It's a park that the Lions Club has maintained over time. So a conversation with John and Carrie would be that they are, John and Carrie, from the Lions Club, and these are the elements of the park that we are looking to update. This is our timeline. We have broken the project down into 4 phases. This is how much it will cost for phase 1. This is how much it will cost for phase 2. This is how much it will cost for phase 3. That really helps us start directing you where you might find some funding. So once you have that part of the conversation, what you're hoping to find out from us are these elements on the bottom. Which applications are good applications for you to pursue? Which of those applications is carrying the same mission as the project that you are going to be conducting? How much should you ask for? You know, our whole project is $250,000. Should I ask for the whole $250,000? The answer is probably no. A $250,000 project with our community enhancement grant, you might want to ask for $25,000 to $35,000. And those are answers that I can give you. So we're going to start with the Community Enhancement Fund, and then we're going to start talking about some of the other funds that we have within the Community Foundation that you might want to apply to. So we'll give you some baselines on what to apply for in each of those areas. We'll also talk about deadlines. Sometimes the deadlines will determine whether or not that's the right application for you. Sometimes a group is not going to get together to look at your proposal until you want to be completed. You're going to look for different resources of money if they don't fall into your timeline. We'll also talk about some elements of the proposal that will make it stronger. Anytime we talk about a grant from the Community Enhancement Fund, I will talk about it has to have have an impact on Marathon County residents, making their lives better, enhancing the community. It has to be long-term and tangible. We like things that will be with the community for a while. We're not looking to necessarily fund salaries and things like that. So we'll talk about some of those things when we get together and talk. That conversation with me will also probably lead to you getting a list of all the other foundations that serve Marathon County as well. We won't speak for them, but we will give you a list for you to contact additional foundations in the area if you need to find funding from them as well. So just to kind of look at some of the funds we have within the Community Foundation. I love to see this picture of Ed and Joyce Kresge. They have established a fund within the Community Foundation rather than doing a private foundation on their own. They fund projects that serve central Wisconsin, Portage County, Marathon County, Lincoln County. They owned several businesses, one of them being Wasatile, and their employees live in those communities. So those are the communities that they want to make an impact on. But their heart is with Mosinee. So if you have a project or program specifically for Mosinee, they would like to hear about it. So that would be one application I would draw you to look at. And you would apply for that through the Community Foundation's website. After talking to me, you would put that proposal in. They just this morning, and your slides that were sent to you yesterday are actually incorrect. As of this morning, they have decided they want to review applications just once a year so that they can look at all the proposals in front of them at one time. So their application deadline is the first business day of May. They will no longer be looking at them in the fall. Their projects that they fund are in the $1,000 to $5,000 range, although they will definitely entertain larger projects or programs. If we have that conversation, sometimes you may know the Kresge family yourself and have a conversation with them. They may fund a project higher than that. Just had a conversation with them this morning, and they are going to be making arrangements to put additional money into their foundation to make a large donation to a big community project in the next couple of months. So that will be happening, and they have the right to do that. They can put money in, they can spend it in any way they want, but it is an endowment, so they try to just spend off their earnings and make grants. That's why they're in that $1,000 to $5,000 range. Then we have the Mid-Wisconsin Legacy Foundation, another proposal that you could put in. If this would fit within your timeline, they don't look at applications until October. As you can see from here, the geographic area that you would be competing for those dollars is larger. They look at proposals from all the communities where Mid-Wisconsin had banks. So Minocqua, Rhinelander, Neilsville, I believe. Medford is where they were born, so they definitely have a heart for making grants in the Medford area. Smaller grants, $1,000, but those $1,000 grants are very powerful grants for the communities they go into. Then we have the Merkel Foundation. They look at proposals just once a year as well. They look at applications in the fall. Proposal deadline is the first business day of September. They take a little bit longer to review. You probably won't get your answer from them until the end of October, but they fund things in that $1,000 to $5,000 range. They are specifically looking in the Wausau area, Marathon County, and their mission is for grants in the area of education and the arts. So if you're an organization that supports the arts and education, that would be one that I would direct you to. Clyde Schlueter Foundation, this one continues to be advised by the same group of board of directors who worked with them when they were a private foundation. They just folded into the community foundation about 5 years ago. They make grants for civic projects in the greater Wausau area is their mission. Again, applying through the Community Foundation's website. They meet in June and September with proposals being submitted by the first business day of May, the first business day of August. Again, grants generally in that $1,000 to $10,000 range. However, they do entertain proposals for multi-year. I know they're looking at a proposal out of cycle. This year, they're looking at a proposal that they may fund over a 5-year period of time. Are there any questions? We've gone through quite a bit in the way of donor advised funds. We're doing okay so far? Yeah, but we're already into the competitive part of it, so that's good too. Pencils and crayons. I'm not sure that we have anyone on the line who is with a school, but we do have our Beyond Pencils and Crayons grants, and our board has already authorized that we have a $25,000 pot of money available for pencils and crayons grants for 2021-22 school year. So if you have any teacher friends, please encourage them to apply those grants. Again, very powerful grants. It's for things that teachers have some exciting ideas they want to bring in their classroom, and they just really don't fit in the budget right now. A September 30 deadline must be used within that particular school year. Grants range up to $5,000. So please encourage your teacher friends to put proposals in. Community arts. I might even turn over to Anne to help me out with this community arts.
One of my favorites.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, let's talk about community arts a little bit.
Community Arts Grant is a very rewarding program, and it is amazing the amount of different grants that are given through that. So if you have an organization, please do number one, what Sue said, talk to Sue, because Sue will guide you first and foremost on what you actually need and how to put it together. And remember, the Community Foundation is there to assist you and help you to become successful. On the arts grants, the fund purpose is for specific art or programs that have a public component, and we are funded basically through the Wisconsin Arts Program and the Community Foundation. And Sue mentioned that she has just put in a grant application to the BA Esther Greenheck Foundation, which has been very generous to this program over the past few years. And requests would come through the Community Foundation. And again, cannot stress enough to contact Sue. And the grant deadline, April 15th. Of every year. We only meet once a year to determine the grants. And the panel will meet May 13th, and the funds are available to you as of July 1st. And requests are accepted up to $5,000 and no more than 50% of the total project costs. And final report submitted within 2 years of funding. One of the things to think about is that this is the only grants panel that is done in front of all of the people that applied or anyone else that wants to be there. So as an applicant, you can sit in and you can listen to exactly the full discussion by the panel, which will decide who receives funds and who doesn't. And it's very good input for a number of different reasons. You see what the wide variety of grants that and their requests. But secondly, and most importantly, the most important part, and Sue brought that up earlier, is your financials and your budgets. And too many times, your narratives do not match up with what your budget sheet says. So I can't stress that enough. And I think you'll be going over some of that stuff later on, Sue, but I can't stress enough that that's one of the major things why people haven't gotten funded is because they don't pay attention to the details. And again, contact Sue, Community Arts Grants.
Yeah. As Anne said, that is an open panel meeting, and we often say that taking the time to sit through the community arts panel session is probably the best grant writing workshop you can attend during the year, because you really do, as Anne said, you can see the whole. It's very stressful for the committee, but they do a great job of evaluating each of the proposals. They talk about why they scored a proposal a certain way. You will hear little insights of what makes a proposal stronger than another one. Everybody, please mark May 13 on your calendar. We are hoping that that will be in person. We doubt that it will be. But even if it's a Zoom meeting, it will be something that will be available for anyone to be able to attend. Because we get state money, we do have to have that as an open panel meeting. So, and Anne will be chairing that. Okay. Community enhancement, I'm just going to touch on this a little bit, and then I'm going to let Anne talk a little bit about the mechanics of the distributions committee and how they look at proposals. But the community enhancement grant is generally the one, if you come to the community foundation and say you have a project or a program that's going to serve Marathon County, this is the grant source that I am most likely going to direct you to fill out a proposal. You would again apply through the Community Foundation's website. After talking to me, we'll determine how much you should request. You're going to put your proposal in the first business day of March, June, September, or December. And we will be making over $550,000 worth of awards from that fund this year, anywhere from $1,000. And we just changed that number from 50,000 was a high grant prior to this last year. This last year, it was the first year we actually made a grant in the amount of $100,000. So that would be a high-end grant. That would be more likely a capital campaign or some large project. So, Ian, I'm going to let you go ahead. These are the areas that we do look at projects and programs for community art grant funding. Community enhancement funding.
The first thing that basically Sue went over what our distribution committee is made up of, and one of the major things that first comes up in the discussion is does it meet our mission? Does it enhance our community? Is it bringing forth a new and innovative potential for us? And so when you are writing that grant, think very seriously about where that mission statement follows in with your grant. As we talked about the arts, specifically with the arts grants, education, we talked about pencils and crayons. And definitely it's been a tough year this past year with all of our educators and how they have had to work with virtual classrooms, and it's been a new experiment all the way around, but it's also been educational. It's also been eye-opening. So Sue stressed it. If you know any of your educators and teachers that could use a little boost on a special program, this is where that would belong. Health, and that's a big subject right now, and we've done a number of projects that relate to health-orientated things. And the Community Foundation has been very front and center on things in the past of bringing in the medical school and college here to the Wausau area. We have also had a number of different programs that work on all types of areas in the healthcare arena. Resources and preservation. We normally receive a number of grants in this area, and it could run from doing some work on the Ice Age Trail. It could work on all different forms of, one of the bigger things that's happened up in this area is the biking that has taken over in the area, and Sylvan Hills has put something together, and there is a number of different biking organizations and nonprofits out there that have really stepped forward. And as you know, throughout Marathon County, That is one of the areas that the county and everyone in it has been looking towards increasing our tourism and bringing those types of people here. And 9 Mile, we've worked with a number of different things out there on their trail operations. So if you've got an innovative idea and it's something that's going to enhance the lives of the people in our county, give Sue Nelson a call.
Sure. I just want to make one comment regarding the arts and education. Remember that the Community Arts Grant Fund is specifically for projects and programs that are going to happen. So that might be a specific concert, exhibition, performance. That would be community arts grants. But the community enhancement grant could also go to an arts organization. Some of the things that we've done with community enhancement in the area of arts would be to buy new
pottery equipment
for the CVA, or new music stands for the Conservatory of Music, that kind of a thing. Education, again, those Beyond Pencils and Crayons grants are specifically for programming in the classroom. That would be, you know, a new and innovative idea that a teacher wants to bring to the classroom. But also in the area of education, we might make a grant to North Central Technical College for their new innovation center, or their, you know, some printers or things like that. So again, community enhancement would be for those long-term tangible items that are going to be with the community for a while. So. And just a couple things to keep in mind when you are applying for a community enhancement grant. We do make our grants to 501c3 organizations. There is some a little bit of liberty that the Community Foundation can do on a project or program. If you're not a 501c3, we will want to work with you before we would even look at a proposal from you. There are extra things that we as a foundation need to do to make sure that the project is charitable. If you're not a 501c3, we can do it. We prefer to make grants to 501c3 organizations. We do serve the greater Wausau area, Marathon County. Your project or program must serve that area. That's where we raise those assets. That's where we're going to spend those assets. And again, that long-term tangible, the type of things that we do with community enhancement, new programs, equipment, capital improvements, things like that. Go ahead, Ann.
Thank you. So these are the things that we do not generally support, and that's annual appeals and operating expenses. We don't work with any debt retirement, and we do not put money towards endowments. And we do not generally support direct support of individuals. And we don't generally support lobbying or sectarian causes. And I think that those are pretty much self-explanatory. I do like the fact that we say we do not generally, because sometimes along the way, something might come up with a direct support possibly for an individual that might enhance or bring something into our communities. So again, it goes back to the slide, contact Sue Nelson. Mm-hmm. So,
a good example where we don't support sectarian causes, and you might look at our grant list and say, but you gave a grant to First Presbyterian. Well, that was for First Presbyterian free medical clinic. Has nothing to do with you know, any kind of sectarian work. It is specifically for the mission of helping people get medical expenses. So, you know, we did a lot of debate on one like that.
Yes, we do.
So just to get you started here, when you're going to submit an application, you're going to go to our website and you're going to register on our application site. You're going to choose the correct application from the menu of applications that are available to you, complete it and submit it on time. The one thing about the online system, we know exactly where you are in that process. If you have any questions about your proposal that you want me to look at your proposal, I have full access to your proposal from the first the first T that you put on the page. I'm able to go back and review that and talk about it with you. So feel free to use us as a resource to make your proposal as strong as possible. So that's what you're going to do to submit your proposal. You're going to go to our online system. Our online system is where you're going to put your proposal in. You're going to do your grant grant agreement letter, and you're also going to use the online system for your follow-up report. So everything's done right in that system. This is what you're looking for when you look at proposals, and so talk about how the committee will look at a proposal.
For us, he's a grant writing, clear, concise, convincing, and collaborative. And there are people from all walks of life. And as Sue talked about, we have 2 student representatives on the distribution committee, and they are amazing with what they bring to the conversations. And I cannot stress these enough with you. And they want to see, number one, that the project has taken an initiative and that there's other funding that has been put into the project. And they want you to be concise, which is who, what, where, when, and why. It's not, trust me, it's not pages and pages of applications and extra information. They want you to be able to tell your story, and they want it to do in a condensed version. And the other thing that, again, that I mentioned before with the arts grants, and I will mention it again with this distribution committee because they are the same members. Again, make sure that all of your numbers and who you're sending the application to all match up. As Sue mentioned before, she can give you names of other different foundations. What happens a lot of times is somebody has written a very good grant and they send it out to a number of different foundations, and they forget that we are not the XYZ Foundation, we are the Community Foundation. And you'll be pleased to know that the committee does read through every single grant application. They do presenting of grant applications, and they discuss everyone very thoroughly. And those are the types of things that can really detour funding, because you haven't taken the time to have somebody proofread that application and make sure that all of the I's are dotted, T's are crossed, and your numbers match up, and you are asking of the correct agency. I can't stress that enough. We want you to succeed. So again, read and follow the directions. They're very easy. Write in plain English. Don't use jargon or acronyms. That has definitely surfaced a number of different times. Provide clear and accurate information, and a balanced budget is a must. The other thing that I will tell you is that if any member of the committee has questions are funneled through Sue, and Sue will contact the agency to make sure that she gets those questions answered and the answers out to the whole entire committee. So you are not going to be receiving calls from 10 different people asking you questions. All questions get funneled through Sue. So if you do receive a call or an email from Sue regarding your grant, please respond and to those questions, because two things: lets you know that your grant is being considered and that there's information that they're looking for. And secondly, it gives the committee a better idea of exactly what you are asking for. So it may seem daunting, but those proposals and the grants are actually a very, very easy grant form to fill out.
Mhm, mhm. We try to make it easy.
Ann and Sue, we do have a question.
Okay.
Can you give more definition to what you look for in the area of collaboration on an application?
Do you want to take it, Ann?
I'm going to let you start with that, Sue, and then I'll add in.
Sure. Collaboration is not necessary in a proposal, but if a proposal comes in and it's a project or program that's going to serve more than one entity, maybe Connie from Miquelette, I'm going to use you as an example. You are an agency that serves with literacy issues, and if you have a collaboration with the library or with NTC or with the Salvation Army, and you if you note how you're collaborating with other organizations and how you're not duplicating services, I think that's the major thing, is that duplication of services is something that you're addressing, that you're not providing services that are also provided by someone else. So that would be an idea of a collaboration.
The other one would be, like you just brought up, the Presbyterian Free Clinic. The Presbyterian Church Free Clinic is in collaboration with the Methodist Church, because they have the space to provide an area to house the clinic. And then the other collaboration is with our local medical personnel, the doctors and the nurses that are giving of their volunteer time to operate and run that clinic, which shows another collaboration of 3 different things coming together to make something happen.
Mm-hmm.
Good, that was my question, Sue and Ann. Thank
Okay,
you for answering
sure,
what I was
sure.
looking for.
Yeah. The one point on here about a balanced budget, Ann had mentioned that earlier. A balanced budget means that your income that you expect and the expenses are the same. We do understand it's a budget, and you may end up collecting more money than you actually use, and you need to readjust your program to spend all that money for that project. We understand that, but when it comes into our office and our committee's reviewing it, they want to know that if you're going to raise $100,000, $100,000 will be going to the project or program that you are asking for funding for. And also to be careful, yeah, and this almost happened to me with my proposal to the BA and Esther Greenhack Foundation. That number on your budget should match the same number that your budget number in the narrative part of your application as well. Anne also had mentioned that questions get funneled through the community foundation office, so that applicants are not inundated with the same question from 10 different people. Also, we'd like to keep the distributions committee a little bit separated from the nonprofits that are asking for the money. There's a very quick timeline. Applications are due on the first business day of March, June, September, December. Our committee actually meets within 2 weeks, so they are reviewing those applications very quickly, and they go to our board of directors for approval by the end of that month, and you have your answer whether or not you're going to get your funding. Please be available for those questions during that timeline of from the first of the month to about the 15th. Be available for the possibility that we might want to come in and do a site visit. the possibility that they have something they're going to want clarification on your budget, something they want clarified within your narrative. If you get an email, if you get a phone call from me within those 2 weeks, please take those as quickly as possible, because the committee's reviewing and they will make a decision with or without an answer from you. And it would probably be better to have an answer from you with the information that they need to make a good decision on your proposal. So just want to let you know that timeline goes quite quickly.
One more point on the site visits. Like, John, you're looking at Dubay. I mean, there's something like that is an awesome thing to have the committee come out and take a look at, so that it can visualize and know exactly what's going on. The foundation, that works with the Wausau School District and their school forest. It was a site visit, or there's just a number of different ones for different agencies, so that, and usually maybe up to a half a dozen members might show up from that committee, but it gives them a little bit more of an idea of exactly what you're looking for, and why the needs are there, or why the innovation and what you're coming up with. So agencies, think about that when you're looking at it, because that's really tells a better story sometimes.
Occasionally we may even bring you in at the beginning of a meeting to do a little presentation on your project. That hasn't happened a whole lot, but if it's a project that they're really interested in and they just need that extra information to make just the right decision, that might happen as well. So definitely the month that you put your proposal in, be available to us in case we do want to have those conversations with you.
Yeah, and a
So.
site visit to the Dubay Lions Park comes with fresh cheese curds.
Well, there you go. Why don't we all go? Great. So just kind of getting through the rest of this checklist, be honest with your proposal. Be honest between different funders as well. If you put a proposal into the BA and Esther Greenheck Foundation, the Dudley Foundation, the Alexander Foundation, the Woodbill Trust, whoever it might be, just know we do talk to each other. We do have an idea what everyone is looking at. So be honest with your descriptions of your project, because we do talk. Be consistent with your stories among the different funders and within your own proposal. We do ask that the proposals are kept as simple as possible, but of course you're going to want to put something in there that's going to make that committee remember you when they're sitting around that table of 10 people, and yours is the proposal they want to get to and they want to talk about. So the other really good point is to have someone outside your organization read your proposal. Does it make sense to them? And definitely choose someone that has no idea what you want to accomplish. Don't explain it to them ahead of time. Just give them the proposal and see if they can understand, because that's what's going to happen with those 10 people that are reading your project. Will they be able to get all the information they need about your project? So having someone else read your proposal works really well. And of course, get your application in on time. But there's always another quarter. If we don't see it. Anne, you want to talk anything about the actual distributions meeting or anything like that?
As I said, I can just give you a little bit of an update. As I said, the committee makeup, and Sue assigns, depending on how many grants are out there, committee members can present from 1 to maybe 4 grant applications, where they basically go through and bring out the high points of the grant, and they also will basically put in their recommendations or non-recommendations, or where they look at what it has. Every committee member basically pretty much weighs in on the applications, and some there's quite a bit of discussion on, some Some are written very, very well and go through in no time. And but each one is given that is thorough thought. And the one thing that is really very, very heartening about the committee is that it seems that everyone has looked at it from a different angle. So it's studied all the way around. The distribution committee is, I think, the foundation has done a very good job of bringing in people from varied backgrounds and do a very nice job of working through each one of them. So I can't say enough about how it works. It's an awesome part of the foundation.
I have to say that I'm humbled to work with that group of people because I know that they are putting in hours before we ever get together in researching and reading the proposals. They score the proposals, they think about the proposals, and then they come together and they make some really good decisions on behalf of the foundation. So I commend that group of people. They work hard.
What I'd like to
and they're led by a great person.
Oh,
Thank you, Ann.
You're welcome. But what I'd like to say too is the thing that I like about it, they take up the proposals and they discuss the proposals on their merit. And a lot of times somebody will come in and they may have a high score or a very low score on that proposal. But after listening to the discussion, they've changed from basically a low score to a high score, or vice versa. So they all have open minds and they all take a look at the whole entire thing, and that's probably one of the biggest assets of that committee is they are not, nope, I don't like this, and nothing you're going to say is going to change my mind. That has never happened.
Good people. We have often gotten the question, when is the best time to submit a proposal? Again, the four quarters of the year, March, June, September, December. The one thing that happens is in January, we do get our allocation for the year of that $550,000. We will make sure by December 31 that is all invested back into the community. We do not like to leave money on the table. So keep an eye on the foundation's notices toward the end of the year. We will let you know if we have money that we have to award yet during the year. If we have quite a bit, we will promote a lot and get as many proposals as we can in for the December cycle. Historically, March is because it's shortly after a grant writing workshop, that we will see a good influx of applications now in March. June is generally a lower number of applications that come through us. September, I don't know if it's just people have not gotten back in the groove. September is usually one of our lower application submittals. And December tends to be a high submission grant month as well. So kind of keep that in mind. I can't tell you for sure, what will be on the table discussed at the same time as yours, but in general, June's a good time to apply. September's a good time to apply. But also the best time to apply is when you're ready to apply. Your project really has to be developed. Your budget has to be pretty much nailed down before you put your proposal in. We're going to look for something that we're going to be able to fund that will happen. So make sure you have all your ducks in a row before you put a proposal in. So the best time to apply is when it's the best time for you. So Any other questions? Otherwise, we'll just kind of talk a little bit about if you are funded. Again, everything is done through our grant management site. You would submit back to us your grant agreement letter. That means that you have written a proposal to us and you agree to do that project in a way that honors the application that you submitted to us, and in return you will get the assets from us to help pay for your project. We do have, and Jenna's going to get into this a little bit about the marketing and announcement part of what we like to do with you as partners. We do have a logo available to announce that the foundation has been a part of your project. A big part of that is the Community Foundation is a foundation that will continue to grow as people continue to like the foundation. The larger our Wausau Marathon County Fund and our community enhancement funds grow, the more money we have available to make grants in the community. Unlike a private foundation that might be set up with some assets left by someone who has been very generous to the community, they may continue to grow through investments and things like that. Community Foundation will continue to grow because of people that want to give to the Community Foundation. So I still have that goal in mind that by the time I retire, our community enhancement grants will be giving over $1 million in funding. That's a dream that hopefully will happen. And in that case, in order to tell people what we fund is very important. So to have our name on your projects is important to us. A little mantra that we have is good grant making is good fundraising. So we do want to put our name on some good projects and programs in the community. So if you get a grant from us, we do want you to recognize it in any way you can. We want to be invited to any kind of site visits, ribbon cuttings, groundbreakings, an unveiling of a new program, have announcements in your newsletters, have announcements in your social media, things like that. But it's important for you to complete your project on time. We know that especially this year, we have found out that things can get in the way, such as COVID. If your project cannot get done in a time that you have outlined, stay in contact with us. Let us know. We'll divert your final reports if we need to, but those final reports do need to get submitted back to us so that we have the stories to tell about the projects and programs that we fund.
I just wanted to add, one of the most innovative ways of displaying the Community Foundation was a few years back for the Balloon and Rib Fest. They requested funding for fencing. And the fencing that is used is a netting, and it is got the Community Foundation's logo plastered all the way through the fencing. And one of the most recent ones is one of the COVID grants that was given out was to the Neighbor's Place, where they have utility wagons and they have put the Community Foundation logo on that. So I don't know, the committee kind of likes where their stuff is coming from when the logo is displayed. Just a hint.
Our donors like it and our committee likes it and our board likes it. So Jenna, do you have anything to add as far as the working together with you in the marketing area?
Yeah, thanks, Sue. I did want to just mention, because this is fairly new, that we've created a set of guidelines and a media toolkit for our grantees. So we're working on this right now, but in the future, you will be able to visit our website and there will be logos available for you to download there. We do have a set of acknowledgement templates for you to use depending on what type of grant that you receive from the Community Foundation, just verbiage and language that you can use so that you don't need to make up anything on your own. And then we also do provide you boilerplate copy in case you do decide to do a press release along with your grant. But like I said, this is new and we wanted to make it easily available to the grantees. So the next time that our grants go out, this will be available on our website for downloads. And of course, we take a lot of pride in publicizing grants. And so a large majority of the stories that we tell on social media and on our website and publications is the grants that we give out. So we really encourage you to share your stories with us. I love getting pictures. You'll probably hear from me at one point in your career that I need a picture from you if you receive a grant. So we love to keep the lines of communication open. So that is just a teaser for what will be available to you soon.
I just want to make a comment about the photos that are asked of for Jenna. And the comment that I want to make is that pictures with people are more engaging than just an item. So let's just use the wagons that we bought for the neighbor's place. It's not real engaging. We probably won't get a lot of likes or hits from something with a picture of a wagon, but if we have a wagon with Donna Ambrose or someone, one of the clients of the neighbor's place buy that wagon, it's much more effective photo. So just keep that in mind when you're taking pictures of your projects. Jenna, how do I stop sharing here so that we can open it up if anyone has anything they would like to share at this point? Otherwise, we may be able to close a little bit early. If I hit the stop share, Jenna, will that do it?
Yes.
Okay. So then now I can see all my friends now. Karen Geschko, I see you are on the call. Do you have anything to say on behalf of the Wisconsin Arts Board? No. Okay. Anybody else? How many, oh, Christine, do you have something to say? We'd love to hear from you.
I'm Christine from the Good News Project, and I just have a shameless promotion to do right now.
We'll take it.
So we're in the midst of a capital campaign, which began at the end of 2019, got severely interrupted in 2020, and we're just kind of picking this up again. And one of our initiatives is, because we do electronic recycling, we are budgeting that Good News Project puts $75,000 into its capital campaign budget by collecting laptops. So I am just encouraging everybody, your businesses, your families, your friends, if we take them from 9 to 4 every weekday, just drop off your laptops. If we can get enough this year, then we can put a significant amount of money into our own project.
You had a goal on that too, didn't you, Christine?
17,000 laptops. So we realize that we have to get, some bigger businesses too, but we're finding that the really large businesses in town already have contracts and getting rid of their IT stuff. So I think it's going to be small to mid-grade businesses and residents that will have to help us.
Excellent.
And if anyone has any ideas for promotion of that, we're just getting our own toolkits prepared to really push this. So I'd appreciate any advice or help in that regard.
You've got a think tank here.
I know.
I saw a couple messages coming through that people had some computers to.
Well, Christine,
bring over.
are those for recycle or reuse?
They are for recycle. So we are a DNR state certified collector, and we pass them on to an R2N recycler that is also audited and approved by the DNR. So we do not reuse. Everyone's information is safe through this process.
Just laptops or old cell phones and tablet devices, or just laptops?
Well, for the laptop initiative, it's just laptops. But every Friday, we are open back up again for recycling. So we'll take all the other electronic recycling on Fridays from 9 to 4. We do charge for that, but for laptops, we take them free.
Okay.
Sue, it's Carla. Just a quick comment, and I'm looking at here, looking at Anne. First of all, and just these presentations are great. We hear the information. I know a lot of the information, but it's like I learn something new every time. And thank you for that. And thank you, Anne, for everything that you do in this capacity. And of course, Sue, your leadership side by side. This is the strength and the beauty of this staff and volunteer partnership. So thank you for that. I do want to say, though, that as we're going through this and talking, I think it's really important when you hear the conversations about the decisions and the individuals behind the scenes that are going through these applications. They go through a very stringent vetting process. And I would just say that's a beautiful thing as well, because it's one of the things I use in the role that I have at the Community Foundation, because my job is to work with lots of new donors. My good friends like Chris that's on this call, or these financial advisors and individuals that are helping us bring money in to help fund things, please continue to share the beauty of that vetting process, because that is one of the tremendous pillars that the Community Foundation has that helps me do what I need to do so people are coming to us. It's a beautiful thing. And we're trusted and respected because of that vetting process. And it's because of individuals like Anne and others that are willing to commit the time. So please keep that in mind, and please continue to look at things that we're doing. Follow us, like us, share us. Jenna will love you forever. So we need you to keep talking about the things that we're doing, but the vetting process is tremendous and it separates us from others. So, and thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
I'm just taking a quick look around the table and trying to determine what kind of proposals we're going to get this year. So I'm kind of excited. Whole new year here. We got some exciting things that we can do. One thing that I think I touched on, when you put a proposal into the Community Foundation, whether it's to the Community Enhancement Fund and those private foundations, we do take those proposals if they're not able to be funded in full by the organization that you by the funding source that you have put your proposal in. We do make those projects and programs available to our donor advised fund holders. And in the past couple of years, we've really gotten them on board with following up with a newsletter that goes out quarterly to them with projects and programs that have not been fully funded. And they have filled some of those holes for us as well. So our donor advised fund holders are really effective with that. I see that we have a couple people on this call this morning that are part of the arts world. We are having another session just like this in the afternoon, and we are focusing that on arts organizations. So if you want to come back and be in at least the early part of that conversation, Karen Geschko from the Wisconsin Arts Board will be with us. We're going to have a little bit of an open forum to talk about the arts climate right now, some of the special needs that the arts organizations are feeling because of COVID-19. We've realigned some of our funding with the Wisconsin Arts Board funding that we're getting, and the BA and Esther Greenheck Foundation money that we're getting for community arts grants. That's one thing about the Community Foundation. We watch the community, we hear the community. Forums like this where you're able to tell us what's happening for you. Right now, a lot of nonprofits are reeling because of the climate, because of COVID, because of lost funding, because of programming, lost funding, because of not being able to have fundraisers. We're listening to you. We're really trying to address some of the needs that you have. We can't do it all, but we're trying to do what we can for you. So this is a time to let us know, what's hurting, what's going well, what are some things that the Community Foundation might be able to think about to help you out a little bit more. So, and if you don't want to do it here, Tim's line is always open. My line is always open. We're here to talk with you. I hope I didn't put words in your mouth, Tim. So, any last thoughts? Otherwise, I love this time together with you. I always have a hard time saying goodbye. We do like to hear from you. We'd like to know what's going on. I just want to let you know that we do have our next nonprofit exchange, which is an opportunity for nonprofit organizations to share information with each other. When we talk about collaboration, the best way to be a collaborative community is to spend time with each other. So Jana, correct me if I'm wrong, February 15th is our next nonprofit exchange. We're taking an idea that came out of our exchange from last year, and we will be unveiling a little project that Jenna's been working on, and we will have an opportunity to have an online exchange tool where nonprofits serving Marathon County will be able to share ideas on different things electronically through a nonprofit exchange that will be designed just for you. So that will be unveiled at that time, and it will also be a listening session where you can put any topic you want on the floor, and we will see who wants to talk about it. February 15th. So any arts organizations that want to join us this afternoon, at least for the early part of that conversation, will be helpful. Unlike this session, we're going to start talking about community arts, and then we'll go into some of our other funding. So Karen Geschko from the Wisconsin Arts Board will be with us as well for that one. And we're going to unmute her and have her speak to us at that time. So we'll be able to talk a little bit about the arts climate. And with that, I thank you for your time with us today. We'll be watching for your proposals.
Thank you.